999 rescue.
There are 80,999 calls made every day.
Hello, what's the problem? It's the police.
Can I have a police? They stole my money.
Who stole your money?
Some are more serious than others.
Yeah, he's not breathing.
Loads boy flat on his back for me now.
I'm bleeding flat on his back.
On rare occasions, the call is to report a death.
Emergency service. I've run over my wife who's been feeding the cows, and one of the cows must have known.
Some people broke into her house. Okay. They stole all his money. Okay, Tim.
But what if the caller
She's not moving.
Right, she's not moving at all.
is, in fact, a killer?
Someone been stabbed, I think they did.
On the evening of August the 26th, 2008, emergency services received a 999 call to report a house fire.
This is reported Greenmead, Steve. Do you know it?
Yeah, I know those.
Person's reported fire, so we're really anxious. We want to get there as quickly as possible. We know that members of the public are potentially inside a building with flame and smoke.
As the fire service arrived on the scene, they immediately began to search for people inside the home.
We were being informed by a member of the public that there was potentially somebody still in the property.
Firefighters searched the living room. They made a shocking discovery. A burnt body with no sign of life.
Alan was quite smart. He always seemed a bit aloof, a bit alone.
I think Alan was very private. He kept himself to himself.
Morning, love. You had to pick the kids up from school today?
Kirsty was vibrant, loving, energetic, funny.
You going to training this weekend? Thought we could take the kids to the cinema.
Long blonde hair, tall, slim. She was just great, really.
Cartoon? Something musical? You know the things I like.
Although the couple had been together nearly 8 years, they had never married, but had 2 young children together. Both Kirsty and Alan had successful careers in the car industry. Kirsty was the manager of a Mercedes dealership.
A lot of people worked under her. I think she had about 10 or 12 chaps working under her.
Morning, boss.
Hi, Ryan. How you doing?
Yeah, good.
She had to go to Germany, test all the new cars. So she had a really, really good job, you know.
Well, if you need me to help you close the deal, you know where to find me.
Will do.
Good luck. Keep me posted.
Alan also worked in the car industry as the manager of a VW dealership near Heathrow Airport. According to his friends, it was an unexpected career choice for a man of such few words. Back at home, Alan's spare time was taken up by his passion for martial arts.
I could see him practicing if I was upstairs in our bedroom, which overlooked their back garden.
I'm back. Meeting got cut short, thank God. Alan!
To him, she was so outgoing, you know, so vivacious and so full of life. You know, she would chat to anybody.
Alan! Come and have a drink with me. I'm getting lonely in here.
We didn't see them together very much. Count the times, really.
Spoke to Mum today. She's desperate to see the kids. Wondering when we're going to go up. I thought maybe next weekend. But then half term's only 2 weeks away. Go then make a couple of weeks of it. That'd be quite nice. Take the kids to the farm. Alan, I haven't finished.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Anyway, yeah, I thought maybe Mum and Dad could have the kids one night. We could go for dinner. What do you think? Next weekend, or should we wait till half term?
Whatever you think.
The children seem well behaved, and you wouldn't think anything was wrong, really, to be honest.
If there's a bond, you can see there's something, isn't there?
Don't stay up too late.
I won't.
I wouldn't have thought they were matched at all, no.
I wouldn't have put them together if they were the last people on earth. But you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, do you, ever?
To those who knew Alan and Kirsty, it was clear the spark had gone out of their relationship. At Kirsty's workplace, a new friendship had begun to blossom.
Hi, Simon, how are you?
Great, thanks. How's things?
All good?
Simon Goddard was the managing director at Kirsty's Mercedes-Benz dealership. They had met years earlier when Kirsty began as a trainee.
Should be getting the new line any day now.
Amazing, I can't wait.
Do you want to grab some lunch later?
Absolutely. Got a possible client at 12. One?
I'll come knocking. See you later.
You are home late.
Meetings.
Anything interested?
No. Just a standard day. I'm off to bed, exhausted.
As work colleagues, Kirsty and Simon Goddard spent ever more time together.
Are we offering part exchange on these?
Absolutely.
It's a great model. I think they'll sell really well.
Can we do lunch again?
Really?
I like spending time with you. You make me happy.
Where's this going, Simon?
I like you, Kirsty.
I'm with Alan. And you're married. We've both got children.
Are you happy?
Yes. No. Sometimes.
I think we'd be happy together.
How can you say that?
I'm sorry.
But Simon's interest in Kirsty had opened her mind to the possibility of happiness in a relationship beyond Alan.
Oh my God, Alan!
What?
You've burned the dinner. What on earth have you been doing?
I forgot.
For God's sake, Alan, I don't ask a lot from you.
I was upstairs.
Really? Just pathetic.
did hear a massive row going on.
I like you, Kirsty.
Any plans for the weekend?
Rain my lawn.
I meant with me and the kids.
No.
Alan?
Mm.
Do you ever think that we might not always be together?
What do you mean?
We've got two beautiful children together and that's never going to change, but maybe we're just not the same people we were 10 years ago.
Have you met someone?
Alan, this is about you and me and our future happiness.
Yeah, and I want to be with you.
You never say that.
Oh, I don't know how to do all that kind of...
Alan, I'll always love you. But I just think our relationship's run its course.
Some people do fall out of love and they're not going to make it.
I'm going to start sleeping in the spare room from now on.
Personally, I didn't think they got on, really. I don't think they did.
What was evident to people is that Kirsty intended to leave Alan. What was clear at that point was that the relationship had finished.
You've burned the dinner, what have you been doing?
After nearly 10 years together and 2 children, Alan and Kirsty's relationship had reached its end.
I'll always love you. But I just think our relationship's run its course. Simon, how are you?
But for Kirsty, a fresh chance at happiness had emerged in the form of her work colleague, Simon Goddard.
I like you, Kirsty. You make me happy.
What was evident to people is that Kirsty intended to leave Alan. What was clear at that point was that the relationship had finished.
Cooked.
I can see.
Candlelit dinner for 2.
Alan,
It is hidden talents.
I really appreciate what you've done here, Alan, but it's not going to change the way I feel about things.
I'm not going to lose you.
I've met someone, Alan.
But I can change. I can do more around the house. I can stop going to martial arts.
I just need you to pay me some attention. It's like you don't even live here. You're so distant, it's like living with a stranger. I just wanted someone to share things with.
For Kirsty, she'd made her choice. She'd decided that she wanted to be with Simon. Clearly, her relationship with Alan had failed. They'd had 2 children. They'd been together for some years. But as far as she was concerned, it had now run its course.
Having confessed her feelings to Alan, Kirsty now felt she could pursue a relationship with Simon.
I think it's going to be okay.
How is he?
As you'd expect, I suppose. It's come as a bit of a shock.
I can't tell you how happy I feel.
Let's just take it slow, okay?
Kirsty had obviously met Simon through work. That relationship had developed from a friendship clearly into a relationship.
Hi, how are you? Where are you?
At a demonstration.
How's it going?
That was fairly obvious to those around Kirsty. But I do recall that many people around Alan didn't even themselves know.
You gonna go out with the lads on Friday?
No, I've got a family thing happening.
Come on, Alan, you see your wife all the time. Just see some of the girls at this bar down in town.
No one prettier than Kirsty, right?
No, I think Alan had kept it to himself. Whether that was because he was a very private individual or perhaps in denial, only Alan will know. But certainly those around Alan weren't as aware about the split as those that were around Kirsty.
The couple continued to live together. And as the months passed, it appeared that Alan had finally accepted the relationship was over.
Hi.
Kirsty didn't want to hide the relationship. She was very honest with Alan and very upfront.
You have a good day?
Not bad, thanks. Kids all right?
Yeah, I've just put them down now.
Thanks.
Alan had even composed a letter to Kirsty, outlining his past mistakes and offering his blessing for her future happiness.
I'm sitting writing this card and I can only imagine the pain and torment I have caused you over the years. If only I knew then what I know now. Yes, I am finding it difficult to come to terms with you leaving me, but I do accept this is what you want. If only I could turn back the clock. Oh. It's from Alan.
What does it say?
That he's sorry, basically. That he wants the best for me.
Do you think he means it?
Yeah.
What does that mean for us now?
That we can be together.
Simon was probably the love of her life, and he the love of hers, I think.
I would say the relationship was very serious. Kirsty wanted to be with him, and she was looking forward to the next chapter of her life.
As Alan and Kirsty's separation looked to become permanent, the couple discussed the practicalities of going their separate ways.
So, I was thinking we should put the house on the market. What do you think?
I just hadn't really thought about it.
Fresh start, you know. Can't stay living like this forever. It's probably a good idea. Are you okay with this? I just thought you'd want to get on and find your own place.
Yeah, sure. I think we should decorate before we put out.
Sure.
I'll call the agents if you can sort out the decorating.
No problem. I'll speak to Clive.
Yeah, okay. Bye.
See you tonight.
So Kirsty and Alan, for all intents and purposes, were going to go their separate ways. They were decorating the house. The house was going to be sold.
Just said, oh no, could you decorate a couple of bedrooms? There was no reason, but obviously the reason was they wanted to sell the house.
With the children put to bed and Kirsty watching TV in the lounge, Alan retired to bed. But woke at around 11:40 p.m. by the smell of smoke. With the staircase filling with smoke, Alan rushed to wake his children.
Girls, wake up, there's a fire. We need to get in the bathroom, come on.
With the children safely in the bathroom, Alan telephoned 999 to alert the fire service.
Fire rescue?
Hello, I've got smoke in my house. I've got two young children in the house.
Okay, what's the address?
Greenmead's in Woking, Mayford. Just in the bathroom.
I'm upstairs. The fire was downstairs. I'm not sure. There's just smoke coming from upstairs.
Right, okay, so you're not able to get out at the moment?
I'm not at the moment. And I've got two young children upstairs.
Right, okay. Hello, if you just stay on the line with me, the fire brigade are on their way, okay? They're going to be with you in a couple of minutes. Have you got anything you can put just under the door?
Yes, I've got towels. Okay. Yeah.
You shut the door. Okay. Is that the bottom of the door you've blocked up there?
Oh, just, yeah.
Yeah, that'll just prevent any smoke coming
Right, put it
in.
up behind the door.
The only thing is...
Yeah?
I don't know where my partner is.
On the night of the 26th of August, Alan woke to the smell of smoke. He immediately woke up his children and called 999.
I'm upstairs. The fire was downstairs. I'm not sure. There's just smoke coming from upstairs.
Right, okay, so you're not able to get out at the moment?
I'm not at the moment. and I've got 2 young children upstairs.
Right, okay. Hello, if you just stay on the line with me, the fire brigade are on their way, okay? They're going to be with you in a couple of minutes.
5 miles across town, the local fire service received a call to a house fire.
On this particular incident, crew would have been there within 5 minutes.
Person's reported. Green meat, Steve. Do you know it? No, Steve.
Yeah, I know where that is.
We know that members of the public are potentially inside a building with flame and smoke.
Still on the phone to the 999 operator, Alan revealed a shocking detail.
The only thing is,
I don't know where my partner is.
Right. Do you think she's in the house? Or?
Yeah, I went to bed early.
Right. Yeah. What's the name of your partner?
Kirsty.
Kirsty. Okay. All right. We'll let the crews know.
Well, we just thought there's a house fire. The house is on fire because there was smoke everywhere.
On my arrival, there was a large amount of smoke coming out of the property, which indicated a significant fire.
I just heard this awful scream. It was really awful. So then I got up to the window to see a ladder up to the bathroom window with a fireman carrying this child out.
We were being informed by a member of the public that there was potentially somebody still in the property. Obviously raises significant pressure to me and the crews because we don't like losing people. We sent crews upstairs because it's quite late at night. So the logic would be that people would be upstairs in bedrooms. We also then deployed crews to tackle the fire, to protect the fire crews. We asked the gentleman after we'd rescued him from the property, and he'd indicated that there was somebody in the building. We then later asked him who that person was, and he said it was his wife.
The fire service immediately swept the house, looking for Kirsty. At which point she was discovered by fire officers downstairs in the lounge.
And it was at that stage we identified unfortunately, a lady laying on the floor. There's been heat and flame, and there's a damage to the building. So the survival is unlikely.
she's gone.
My recollection of the casualties' injuries was that there was significant skin damage and burning to the head and arms and a bit on the shoulder, and that was quite close to the sofa. So it wasn't a casualty laying on the floor, as an example, overcome with smoke. There had been some fire damage as well.
Within minutes of the fire service discovering Kirsty's body, the police were summoned to the scene.
The police were called by the fire brigade. I think it was about just after midnight on the 28th of August. And of course, the police would be called in any event where there's a fatality in a house fire, because of course that has to be investigated. Fire brigade had already been there, paramedics were there. What we knew then was that Kirsty sadly had died. Alan and the children had gone off to hospital, and at that point we start our investigation.
The fire crew's initial instincts were that the fire had been started deliberately.
To cause significant damage of some casualty's skin, there has to be a heat source. There was quite a strong smell of some form of vapour From experience, it would indicate to me that it was a fuel-type vapour.
The police also pick up on inconsistencies between Alan's account
Yeah, there's smoke everywhere. There's fire downstairs.
and what the first responders witnessed at the scene.
The account that was given by Alan on the phone call certainly wasn't what the firefighters found when they arrived at the scene. Now, Alan has described an awful lot of smoke when he phoned the operator. He talked about a bang, he talks about lots of smoke. But what the firefighters say was very evident when they got in was that there was not a lot of smoke. They could breathe quite easily, they could see quite easily, certainly in the hallway. So that, again, didn't add up. They found a smouldering petrol can in the downstairs toilet. So straight away, your suspicions are aroused because there is a petrol canister in a downstairs toilet, a fire, and sadly Kirsty who's died. So straight away you know this isn't an accident. A key bit of information very early on was that the paramedics themselves were concerned because the condition in which they found Kirsty suggested she may have been dead longer than what the fire and the phone calls would suggest. So that in itself was highly suspicious. When you speak to the firefighters, when you speak to the ambulance crew, they all described Alan as being very calm. Some of them say that he didn't ask about Kirsty for some time. But the second thing for me that you do is try and understand, how's Kirsty? Where is she? Can I get to her? Is she alive? There was none of that. It just didn't seem right. But very quickly we formed the view that Kirsty had been murdered and that we suspected Alan may have been involved. So by about 3 o'clock that morning, Alan was arrested for murder.
Alan, I'd like you to build a picture.
Despite the accusations levelled against him, Alan remained calm under questioning by the police.
Well, I went to bed quite early, not long after kids. I'd just given them bath time, tea time.
He talks about taking one of his daughters to bed around about 8:30. And we know that that daughter would watch the Disney Channel before going to bed, as a matter of routine. When I attended the scene, I turned on the telly, and while I turned it on, I discovered it was paused on the Disney Channel. Now that was a vital bit of evidence, because Alan's account is that he left Kirsty downstairs in the front room watching television.
She was still watching Big Brother, so it's probably about 9 p.m.
Yet the television showed that it was paused on the Disney Channel, which probably was the same programme that his daughter was watching before she went to bed. So the suggestion that Kirsty was watching telly was a lie.
What alerted you to the fire?
It was 11. I woke up so I could smell smoke, and I was first concerned with the kids. I went and grabbed them and got them into the bathroom.
And did you go downstairs to inspect the fire?
No, I stayed upstairs.
Alan was interviewed, and in his interview, Alan says he hears the bang, he sees the smoke. He takes the children out the upstairs bathroom window and is rescued by the fire brigade. Completely denies being involved in her murder. He denies setting the fire, denies knowing anything about it.
That's right.
Well, what do you think caused the fire?
Could have been anything, really. If she was cooking and fell asleep, that could have caused it. Or, we have a lot of electrical things plugged in.
The feedback coming from the team, and certainly what I witnessed, was one of a very cold and clinical man.
That's right.
If I'd been sat in an interview room, having been arrested for the murder of my partner, which I hadn't done, I think it's fair to say I'd be beside myself. I think any reasonable person would be devastated. Alan was just very controlled, calm, and cold.
The discovery of Kirsty's scorched body prompted a police investigation.
They found a smouldering petrol can in the downstairs toilet.
There was quite a strong smell of some form of vapour.
Almost immediately, investigators believe Kirsty was murdered and the fire deliberately set. Her partner Alan was arrested on suspicion of her murder.
But of course, during the investigation, Alan is in police custody for some days, and During that investigation, as we get new evidence, new information, we'd put that to Alan. So he would have been subject to maybe several interviews through that time.
I can sleep through most things.
It was clear that Alan had motive. Kirsty was looking to leave him. There was some inference that he wasn't accepting of that, and clearly she had experienced one or two instances where she was worried about his behaviour.
The thought of Kirsty in a new relationship had driven Alan to spy on his former partner. Although now sleeping in separate bedrooms, Kirsty told Simon that she suspected Alan was reading her text messages whilst she was asleep.
Kirsty had told a friend that she was frightened, and her friend had said for her to get out.
She was scared of Alan.
As the police continued their investigation, a more vivid picture began to emerge of the couple's relationship. On the surface, Alan had presented an image that he had accepted the split.
I do accept this is what you want.
There was no reason to suspect that Alan hadn't accepted that news and himself was looking to move forward. He talked about even going on a date with a dating website. But nonetheless, for me, just because someone goes on a date doesn't necessarily mean deep inside that they're still accepting that relationship is over. He looked on his laptop, and what was clear is that shortly before the days leading up to her death, was that there was a letter that had been written on the computer, which clearly was, for me, a declaration of love from Alan to Kirsty, which effectively was pleading with her not to go.
Dear Kirsty, thank you for the last 9.5 years. I know I could have done so much more for you and wish I could prove to you that I can make you my priority.
So whilst Alan, on the face of it, appeared to be to those around him was accepting of the situation, I actually don't think that was necessarily true underneath the surface. Clearly he was still reluctant to let Kirsty go.
It was clear to police that Alan was not willing to let Kirsty fall into the arms of another man. A thorough search of the home revealed a further clue as to Alan's state of mind.
During our search of the house, we found upstairs in the wardrobe in Kirsty and Alan's bedroom what can only be described as a stun gun. Clearly of interest to my investigation and understanding why that was there. When we looked at the computers within the house, we established that that stun gun had been bought on Alan's computer, but had been bought in Kirsty's name and on her bank account. Now we know or we suspect that arrived in a parcel which Kirsty took in.
Just signed for a parcel, but I didn't order anything.
Yes, sorry, I must put the wrong name on it.
Oh, what is it?
Some DVDs.
Oh, okay.
And certainly when we tested it, the stun gun was working and it was capable of incapacitating somebody. Whether that was used on Kirsty or not, it's difficult to say.
Kirsty's body underwent an autopsy that confirmed she was killed before the fire was started.
Now, anybody that dies in a fire, you would expect some inhalation of smoke, soot or otherwise. There was none of that in her airways. And also we found bruising at the base of her neck. So clearly we knew that she wasn't breathing at the time the fire was started. She was clearly dead then. And it's fair to say that we believe she'd been strangled.
After 5 months held in custody, the murder trial of Alan Jermey began in August 2009.
There is concern. I would say, that I was anxious. The evidence that we put before the jury, some of it was circumstantial evidence, and some of it on its own didn't mean a lot.
He was standing there with a suit on, smug, unbelievably smug, just standing there as if butter wouldn't melt in his mouth sort of thing,
During the trial, Alan stuck to his story. He said ultimately he hadn't done it. He had no problem with them separating, so much so that he'd even been on a date. He talked about that this must have been somebody else. Somebody other than him had come into that house, had killed Kirsty, and had taken the time to find a petrol can, to pour petrol, to set fire, and leave that property. There was no way on earth that this wasn't Alan. But he stuck through his story throughout. He remained cold, considered, and clinical.
Over the course of the trial, the prosecution presented a very different version of what had happened on the night of August the 26th.
It's difficult to know exactly what happened in that front room. What we do know is that he says he'd put one of his daughters to bed just before going out. Alan had gone out to get some money from the cash point, about 8:30 from the petrol station. He filled up his car. What I also know, Kirsty sent a text to Simon about 11 minutes past 9 that evening, asking him how his evening had gone. He'd been out with a business associate or a colleague. Simon texted her back probably about 20 past 9 and didn't get any reply. And he again texted her about 9:30 to say hey, and again didn't get any reply, which Simon says was highly unusual.
The police believed Alan returned from the petrol station and a confrontation began. Whatever physical attack happened, the police pathologist was sure that Kirsty was strangled to death.
We found bruising at the base of her neck. Clearly we knew that she wasn't breathing at the time the fire was started. It's fair to say that we believe she'd been strangled.
An added clue to the police's strangulation theory had emerged during Alan's first interview.
When Alan talks about the events prior to going to bed, he also says, and quite interestingly, is that Kirsty had I think he described it as a sore neck or a sore back, but he says he gives her a back and neck massage. Given it's quite an intimate thing between two people to do, it just didn't feel right that Alan's suggesting that Kirsty allowed him to massage her back and her neck. So for me, the reason he's told us about giving her a back and neck massage, I think he's worried about we would potentially find forensic evidence on her or otherwise that would suggest that he had his hands in or around or near her neck.
The prosecution contested that Alan had strangled Kirsty and then set her alight using the can of petrol found behind the downstairs toilet.
He could have called the police, he could have called 999 and said, it's tragic, we've had an argument, it's gone too far, I've hurt Kirsty. But instead, he decided to think about how he was going to conceal that crime by setting fire to that front room. And I've got no doubt he thought that fire would rage and destroy any evidence. But it didn't. It didn't take as much as he thought it would. If you talk to any police officer, anybody involved in any type of trial, you sit there looking at the jury, trying to second guess what's going through their mind. Alan, he had motive. Kirsty was leaving him. The evidence in the front room. The lack of smoke in the property, the accounts that he gave during interview, his demeanour on the phone call.
The only thing is...
Yeah.
I don't know where my partner is.
Right. Yeah, what's the name of your partner?
Kirsty.
Kirsty.
When you put it all together, the big jigsaw, it presents quite a compelling case, but it was down to the jury. And when they're asked by the court to deliver their verdict, that moment between that question and their answer seems like an eternity.
We, the jury, find the accused guilty as charged.
They came back absolutely right with a unanimous verdict. Guilty. He had remained cold, clinical, and fairly calculated to the point that verdict was delivered. And I think, in some parts, that is what the jury saw and helped them make their decision.
Well, he's never admitted it anyway, so...
He said, and probably still says, that he didn't do it.
His mum has never said he didn't do it. He swore on the Bible that he didn't kill her, and she believes him. Well, as a mother, perhaps you would.
I mean, I don't think there was a question about it.
When the verdict comes through, it's an emotional time, primarily for the family, of course, because this has been a long journey, a long time coming. But that will leave a mark with them forever. Simon was devastated, the family are devastated, because even a guilty verdict doesn't bring Kirsty back. Kirsty was somebody that had everything to live for, and tragically had her life